Good evening, everyone. I'm Emma Henderson with the Marketing Department here at National College of Ireland, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the college this evening. It's bittersweet, really, because this is the third and final event in the series, and I'd like to thank everyone who's attended so far and everyone who's here tonight and who's supported these events. So if you're on Twitter, we're using the hashtag #GoFurtherWithNCI, and the Wi-Fi details are on all of the tables. So no pressure, but the crowd at the last event were so active that we actually trended in Ireland. So we'd love you to make a little bit of noise this evening if you're on there. And this evening we'll be talking about the future of marketing.
Great. Well, just to start with, because maybe not everybody here would sort of know what our company's role in the whole sort of world of marketing is. I just sort of like, what is a media agency and what do media agencies do? And when people ask me what do I do for a living, I sort of say we're half consultants and half brokers. So advertisers come to us and they want to advertise their product or communicate their product. We give them advice as the best way to do that. We talk about the brand, the environment that it's in, the consumers who are likely to consume it, how they consume media and how we can best reach it. And then we go back to them with an offering of how we think we should do that. And then once that gets agreed, we become brokers. And then we go to all the media owners, whether it's the RTEs or the independent newspapers or the Googles, and we negotiate with a whole sum of money to get the best prices and make sure that we do it in a sort of cost-efficient way. So that's sort of, in a nutshell, what we sort of do. I started working in this industry back in May 1993, and just to sort of give you a context of what was going on in the media world back then, the sort of biggest thing that happened in May 1993 was Niamh Kavanagh winning the Eurovision, which was the second of 3 in a row that Ireland had back in those days. And that achieved 1.498 million viewers that watched that on RT back in the time. The comparable programme now, the most recent Eurovision where Ireland was in, got a figure of about 360,000. So the sort of televisual experience is changing in a major way. JP will talk about this in a little bit more detail, but it's very much in the modern world where we are now, it's very much seen as a sort of a golden age of content. And I guess the most famous example is House of Cards, which isn't viewed through that sort of linear TV model of RTE, but coming through a Netflix option. So a different way that media is being consumed. So the world is changing. And we've moved from a sort of a comparatively simple media ecosystem. So back, in 1993, when I was starting off, we probably dealt with, 30, 35 different media owners who we would have put our messages out there. And I think fairly soon into my career, I would have felt relatively confident that I could sort of do every job within the agency, from welcoming someone as they came through the front door, to advising client how to spend the money, to actually buying a television campaign and going out and do that. And you could do all those sort of elements. And you'd also sort of come in on work on a Monday, and you'd put your 30-second ad in the Late Late Show, and you'd buy your full page in the Sunday Independent, and you kind of felt you'd reached the country and your job was done, and you could go on and do things, relatively simply. It's far more complex, the environment that we're in now. We literally have hundreds of media suppliers who our team deal with every day. And when you bring in sort of the programmatic technology approach that we have, we're into thousands of media owners that we're dealing with in any given time. And there's not a chance in hell that anyone can say that they can do every job within an agency now. There are a lot more specialist skills that are required that people need to be able to reach people in this far more complex world that we have. So what do clients want from us when they're, our marketing clients want from us? Well, they want to have, they're running businesses, they want to make profit. So how can they be sort of competitive, and how can advertising and communication give them that competitive edge against the other people that they're there? And in this far more complex world, what we try to do is bring sort of technology and creativity together to sort of get that spark, to tell people how we can communicate in this far more complex environment. And then when you look at some of the sort of global players, everything is moving so quickly. Like, big news about Google this week, but even what they've previously done of sort of buying YouTube, or Facebook's investment into WhatsApp and Instagram, shows that even models that have already changed our existence are constantly changing, and looking how they're changing. And they'll talk, and JP will talk about this, but they constantly talk, when you talk to them, about exponential growth. They're not looking for incremental growth, they're looking for exponential growth. But it's not just in Silicon Valley where all these things are happening. For those of you who were here in this room 2 weeks ago when independent newspapers were here talking, they talked about the iPhone Watch app that they had, that they were communicating. So back to me 20 years ago buying a full-page ad in the Sunday Independent, the experience and how one goes about placing an ad in the old-style, dare I say, format of the newspaper edition versus the iWatch and everything that comes in between your desktop computer, your tablet, I think more importantly than everything else, the smartphone and the role that plays, requires different skills and different techniques and different communication experiences of how we communicate with people in that world. And data is a world that most businesses are talking a hell of a lot about now, and it's hugely prevalent in everything that we do. And again, it comes down to this, there is so much information there, but how can we take it to make it actually really useful? And what it means is that we're employing people with different skill sets in our business than we did before. So again, back in the days when I started, there was no specific qualification that one needed to work in our industry. Now we're employing people with statistical backgrounds, with engineering degrees. So there's a lot of different things that are there. So this whole area of education, as Emma pointed out, is really, really important and far more important to our business than it's ever been before. What I find in the world where there are so many different elements going on now, there's no way that one can be a master of every single thing, but one needs to have an understanding or dare I say an empathy for every different element of the marketing communication process of what's going on. And that's why doing degrees in some of the courses, I know that the BA in marketing here, the diploma in marketing, advertising, PR, are the sort of courses that come together to help you give you that overview and that understanding of everything that's going on in our marketplace. So I think that's really important of how we all understand, because collaboration is something that clients want from us a lot more. They know they just can't go to one agency to get everything. So there's a lot of parties around the table. We've all got to understand what each other does. And then just the final thing I'm just going to finish off on is just to give you a sort of a tangible example of a piece of what I'd call modern communication that we did in the agency last year. And it was all centered around the World Cup. The Irish Blood Transfusion Service is a client of ours, and obviously blood, getting blood donations is what they're all about. There's a couple of things. One, blood itself has a finite shelf life. It only lasts 35 days, so you need a constant supply is very important. What history had told us when there were major sporting events on, that there was a huge fall off in the level of donations. So then when you find out that the World Cup, the biggest sporting event of them all, is coming on, you've got a problem. The Irish Blood Transfusion Service didn't have a lot of money. They couldn't go out and produce a big television campaign. So what we did is we used technology. We partnered up with a technology company with a piece of kit that we sort of call TV ad syncing. What they were able to do was to focus in on the stings going in and out of the ad breaks. And they were able to identify, as soon as those stings came up, the sponsorship stings in the halftime of the football match, and then instantaneously feeding into our programmatic buying system, push out that technology where people then got ads on their mobile devices. Because not only is the World Cup the biggest sporting event out there, it's the biggest dual screening event out there. And the results were really strong. So I've got a little video now just to show you that, and then JP will take over after me. Start again.
Campaign Save Lives. We started with major sporting events for a massive drop of blood donation levels. For the 2014 World Cup plastic collection, we knew that history would repeat itself. Understanding that the World Cup protected to be the largest dual screen event ever, innovative TV safety technology was used, not to target specific outbreaks, but to indicate distinction stakes at the start of each outbreak, which triggered our activity at precise moments in the match, when dual screen was at a passionate peak. Griffiths was tailored to each team, game and stage of the tournament, serving as a perfect real-time reminder to give blood now. Within days of our campaign launching, donations returned to normal levels. 2,000 units of blood flowed through the health services that would otherwise be lost, bringing out the real winners for those who found themselves in need of a blood transfusion.